Grace to you and peace in the name of God, who is our Creator, our Redeemer, and our Sustainer. It is my joy to proclaim that whoever you love, you are welcome here. Whatever your gender identity or expression, you are welcome here. Whatever your race or ethnicity, you are welcome here. If your pockets feel full or empty, if your heart feels full or empty, if you came today on fire with faith, or if you came tiptoeing over, wondering if you really belong, come and know the love of God, which is for all people. Come and know the love of God, which binds us together as a community and sends us out to show love and courage to an aching world. Come and let us be the church together. If you are new or reconnecting to this community today, hello and welcome. We're so glad you're here. If you are feeling brave at some point, there is a new visitor form available in the video description. And as well, we're going to be having a new members class, I believe next Sunday. Check out the announcements. We'll love to have you join us and help answer any questions that you might have about the church. And we'd love to have the chance to get to know you more. This Sunday, for the first time since the beginning of the pandemic, we have an ensemble making music together in person. I am going to be worshiping from home as I am continuing recovery from concussion, but I am so excited for the bell choir that is playing in person today. And so we shower them with our love, and we are so glad that we get to share some of the video of that as well during our service. And finally, we know that there are so many ways that you are contributing to the mission and ministry of the church at this time. Through your prayers and presence with one another, for your acts of courage and advocacy and love, and also through your financial gifts. If you are feeling moved to participate in the ministry of this church today, there is a link available in the video description. Blessings as we begin our worship today. Is this thing on? Today we are celebrating the joy of imperfections. The ways that we make mistakes, big and small, but how God meets us with grace even in the midst of them. So get ready for all the bloopers today. Because after a year and a half of virtual worship, we have a lot of them. Thank God who meets us here with grace. To fill out a new visitor form, we would love to have a chance to get to know you.
Yeah. So it's the bottom of the fifth, and it's still 2-1 Baltimore over Philly in spring training. And they should be in Sarasota since the Orioles are at home.
Outtakes. Christ the Lord is raised today. Take whatever.
Good job, Murphy.
Snow had fallen.
record.
Yeah.
You can't really see the dot as well because of the teleprompter.
But I see it right down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear me cry, hear I call. Hold my hand, lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When the shadows appear and the night draws near, and the day is past and gone, at the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me Please be with me in a spirit of prayer. Gracious God, who meets us where we are and offers grace to us all, we thank you for your presence and love, for this community which supports us and prepares us to be of service in this world. We come to you at this time as the humble and the proud, as those with walls up and as vulnerable people, as people of privilege and people struggling to find their way. We come as the capable and incapable, the functional and dysfunctional, those who know their limitations and faults, and those who have yet to figure that out. We give thanks for our faith in you, O God, and while recognizing it doesn't make us perfect, that we are able to embrace and appreciate your grace. We hold to the truth that it is through our humanness, letting down our walls and being vulnerable, opening ourselves to you, that we are prepared to discover the power of your love, your grace, and your forgiveness. We thank you for your wisdom, which uses our imperfections to make us instruments of peace, love, justice, and kindness. We pray for those who struggle through life's hardships, financially, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, that in some way your grace will abound in their lives, that they'll know that they are not alone in their struggle. We pray for refugees all around this world, that they'll find a place they can call home. We pray for your church, O God, that it will be the truest expression of you, your love, and your care. It is in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
We come now to a time for children. Well, a time for all ages, really. So if you are a child or just feeling childish today, you are welcome to participate in the what is to come. So, well, today I made a welcome sign. What do you think of it? Can you see? I think, oh, do you know what I just realized I did? I wrote the L backwards. Jeez, I made a mistake. I don't know. What do you think we should do with this? Well, I could take a marker and scribble it all out, and then that would be one way. Or I could take the paper and rip it into little tiny bits, and that would be another way. Or, oh, I know. I could put my hand over the L part, and then it would just say, well, then I guess it would say something different. Then it says we come instead of welcome. I guess that doesn't really help, right? That doesn't actually make anybody feel more welcome. I wonder if there was anybody who sometimes wrote a letter backwards, that if they saw this, they might feel more welcome. You know, because sometimes maybe someone else has trouble with L's, or lowercase b's and d's are really tricky guys. Maybe I could leave it just like it is. Or maybe I could turn it into a logo. Maybe I could do a drawing with it and use the lines to make something brand new. Or, well, I have an idea. Just you wait. Look. Okay. Now it says welcome two ways. I know sometimes it feels like maybe we need to be perfect. I know sometimes it's really hard to make mistakes, especially mistakes that other people can see too. But sometimes it's through those mistakes that we learn. I bet that you know a lot about that. Sometimes it's through the mistakes that we can help someone else know that it's okay not to be perfect too. And no matter what, God can work through those mistakes with grace. There is no mistake you can make that is too big for God. So, welcome to church, and welcome to church. Blessings, all that you are, with all of our imperfections too.
2 Corinthians 4, verses 1 through 12. Therefore, since it is by God's mercy that we are engaged in this ministry, we do not lose heart. We have renounced the shameful things that one hides. We refuse to practice cunning or to falsify God's word. But by the open statement of the truth, we commend ourselves to the conscience of everyone in the sight of God. And even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. In their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is in the image of God. For we do not proclaim ourselves, we proclaim Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as your slaves for Jesus' sake. For it is the God who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," who has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. But we have this treasure in clay jars, so that it may be made clear that this extraordinary power belongs to God and does not come from us. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be made visible in our bodies. For while we live, we are always being given up to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus may be made visible in our mortal flesh. So death is at work in us, but life in you.
It is such a joy after a year and a half of distance to be able to see the bell choir together, sharing your music so beautifully. As you see this music and beautiful final presentation, I am also profoundly grateful that they have been willing to share some of what it took from them during the pandemic time, from filming virtual bell choirs.
Oh, shoot. I had a phone call come in, Will. I got to start over. Dang.
Well, I sort of blew that. Do you think they're going to be able to tell?
Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 and nope.
We're getting there. Each time it's something different. So I'm running out of ways to screw up.
We Three Kings. Okay, this will be We Three Kings take 2. Okay, We Three Kings. Third time's the charm. We Three Kings take 38.
I mean, they're pieces apart falling off of me, so.
We're having some technical difficulties.
Yay!
Ta-da! Oh, I shouldn't have done that yet.
Okay. All right, take 2. It's gonna rock this time. I got 25 minutes. I can do it. Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus. I lost track of takes.
No, don't like it. I don't have it. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 nope. How do you stop it? Not perfect, but as Marcia would say, probably about as close as I'm going to get.
Let's do Joy.
Let's do Joy.
Okay.
Okay.
I got it.
nope, 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 nope. There are so many things that we are going to take away from the pandemic. I mean, at our best, you can hope a renewed appreciation for one another and a sense of how our health and well-being are not in isolation but connected in community. And one of the things that we might take away is a lot of video evidence of our own imperfections. In the midst of this last year and a half, many of us have spent our time filming ourselves. For how else are we to connect with one another through time and space except through the magic of technology? And I am profoundly grateful for the courage and commitment of musicians, of kids, of youth, readers, acolytes, choirs willing to film themselves as solos, bell choirs brave enough to film one note alone. And as for church staff, this is something we have done a lot. And for all of these, I can say that unlike doing something in front of others in person where the moment passes and moves on, video gives the illusion that perfect is possible, while also providing ample documented evidence that you are not. If you have a certain vision, let's say, of how you want something to go, it can be painful to view yourself from the outside, and often in cinema format with all of your mistakes recorded. You can take after take after take because there's always a reason to take one more take. If there's one thing that I've learned between lighting setups and batteries and technology malfunctions and microphones and, let's be honest, fumbled words and strange tone of voice and looking at yourself and saying, why is my hair doing that? If given enough time and space, there is something in the format of video in particular that allows us to look upon ourselves as one from outside, but with all of our own judgment along the way. And say, maybe if I take just one more take, it will be perfect. Over the last year of filming, we have frequently been perplexed and at times been, as the scripture says, driven to despair. Pursuing this thing called perfection. There's a misquoted Bible verse that goes, "Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect." Which, well, feels like what we need to be sometimes. If it seems that we need to be more than good, if it seems like in our lives or our work, or maybe even in our worship, that we need to do it perfectly. Our culture tells us this a lot. Be perfect and you'll have a good life. Which I'm guessing many of us could tell what that perfect looks like. To be perfect, eating only the good and right foods in all the right quantities, along with the right amount of aerobic and strength training. Be perfect with your hair just so and your clothes just so and saying just the right thing at the right moment. Be perfect at work and life at home. Be brilliant and beloved and respected. And this is what the culture of perfection whispers to you, that if you can only achieve it, you will be rewarded with the perfect body and the perfect career and the perfect family and the perfect life. And on the other side, if you lose a job, if you don't get in, if you're lonely, if your body betrays its frailty, then it can feel like you haven't been perfect enough. In this last year, there has been no way to go through a pandemic perfectly, but that doesn't mean many of us haven't tried rather hard in the pursuit. I've been thinking, especially in the era of church where we're filming for worship, I've been thinking all the way back to Martin Luther, the 16th century Protestant reformer, which is most of us when we don't know blah. Okay. For when Martin Luther was a monk, he went to confession a lot. It was once said that Luther once confessed for 6 hours straight. And that at that time in the Catholic Church, upon becoming a monk, you would give a full account of your life, all of your sins up to that point, each needing to be confessed and sought absolution. So, any sin of thought, word, or deed, any sin of commission where you actively did something wrong, or a mission where you failed to do it, you had to notice it and say so. One biography wrote that as soon as a sin came to someone's mind, they rushed off to their confessors and ran back to the priest. It was said, we exhausted the confessors, and Martin Luther in particular, as one writer puts it, his fellow monks were not only annoyed by the frequency of his seeking out confessors, regardless of time or place, but also the apparent triviality of the sins that he confessed. One confessor said, if Luther expected Christ to forgive him, he should come up with something really needing to be forgiven, like murder or adultery. It makes one wonder if being the person that Luther confessed to would naturally put murder on your mind. But it has made me think about how Martin Luther would have done in video church era. I wonder how many takes he would have taken, and then wonder if the battery would have worn out, been exhausted before he could have named a single prayer as good enough. Because if there's a feeling that we need to be more than good, holy, ideal, perfect, then it's remarkably clear that we are not. We are imperfect. You are, and I am too. We make mistakes from the trivial to the serious. We are hurt, and sometimes hurt others. We cannot force our humanity into whatever vision of perfection that the world says we need to achieve. There are some times that we're just broken shells of mess. And yet, here's what I've noticed. In other people, something in me loves the imperfect. I live for dogs interrupting Zoom calls. I absolutely adore other people's kids interrupting things. It feels like a breath of air, or like we can all exhale. It gives me such life when other people hold their mistakes loosely and even invite others to see. Much in the same way that I know folks often don't like to hear the sound of their own recorded voice. And yet, for those of us that know them, that is the voice we know and love. We love that person with all their humanity and their range of timbre and pitch. Scripture today names, we hold this treasure in clay jars. And the clay, that's us. lopsided shapes of earth pressed together, porous vessels that are cheap as dirt. Vessels that break easily and can be cracked and shattered. And in our imperfection, that's how we reveal God. Allowing God to be present amidst our hurt or our heartache, our mistakes, our apologies, our broken pieces. We think that we need to be a shiny perfectedness that is indestructible, but that's not of God. Instead, Paul is writing here in 2 Corinthians a letter where he is very clear that the church is far from perfect. He's writing saying that it is in our brokenness that we reveal Christ's death and resurrection. We don't show the bigness of God through our own bigness and imperviousness, our perfection of strength, because we follow one who is broken, yet raised. Cracks to see God through, sometimes better than any false wholeness could. If we can learn to have grace with our stubbornly human fumblings that are small, then maybe we can learn what it is to live in grace for the things that are large. Our heartaches and struggles and brokenness, the things that in the dark of night feel too vulnerable for the light of day. Because maybe if we can learn to give and accept grace for the small things, we can learn to give and accept grace for the big things too. For that was, in fact, where Martin Luther found God. Martin Luther's way to peace never came through being good enough, but instead by finding that God was good enough. It was not that he became perfect, never making a mistake, but found in God a grace that covered like rain. How can we in turn admit and name our imperfections and find out on the other side not shame and judgment, but grace from one another, grace that is God's other name, grace that invites us to live in a different way? And so may God bless our bloopers, our typos, and our misprints. May God bless our fumbles, our equipment failures, and even our Freudian slips. May God bless us in the interruptions, in the alternative key solos, and the odd camera angles. May God bless us in our illness and injuries, in our fears and failings, in our apologies and amends, in our struggles and setbacks. May we have the courage to share this treasure in clay jars, to show brokenness that God wasn't afraid of, to show new life, that maybe it gives someone else the opening to see God in their own broken life too. Dog bless us, everyone. Amen. May the grace of God be with you in the worlds in which you live. May you be nurtured by the time of gathering and be faithful in the time apart and love and serve one another in the name of the faithful God who meets our imperfections with grace upon grace. May the peace of God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer, be with us all the days of our life. Amen. and seeing if this color stole looks less bizarre in this lighting.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm right here dancing like a silly Billy to see if there's any delay in the relay of the information.
One might say that in today's story, Paul is trying his best to control the cats, to
Papa.
Oh yeah, I should just. I'm not looking at the camera, right? I'm just going in.
Yeah, just a second. Stop. In order to learn blah, 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 blah. Last summer, we were at the beach at Kirkland, playing in the sand while trying to stay the appropriate number of feet away from each other. Let me start that entire thing over, because I think I like it better when the first line goes better.
Take care of this land with the ooze. I won't get distracted. Maybe.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Okay, stop.